The Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu, is attending the funeral of a police officer who was killed in Hammersdale, west of Durban. I understand he's on the podium now. Let's listen in.
The National Commissioner, Lieutenant General Musikidi, Lieutenant General asebenza naye Musikidi, Lieutenant General Mamkhethi, ngibingelele umkhuzi wamaphoyisa lapha kwaZulu Natal, General Mkhwanazi, na wonke ama-officers akhona, bonke general abakhona. Ngiyathanda ngokukhethekile ukubingelela umndeni wakaNdlovu, abangani, ihlobo, kodwa ke ikakhulukazi umndeni osondele ngokwegazi, njengoba kuhlale kunjalo kithina sonke. Sihlangene la njengoba sekushiwo ukuzokhombisa ukuhlonipha nokuzohalalisa imisebenzi, siphakamisa imisebenzi kagatsheni eyaziwayo ikakhulukazi emaphoyiseni ngobuhle bayo nangokubaluleka kwayo kuyo yonke i-career yakhe, njengoba babuzitha kade echaza. Ngifisa nje ukuqala ngokuthi lolu suku lomhla ka-14 kule nyanga akubanga usuku oluhle kuyo yonke lemindeni ehlangene la, umndeni wakwaNdlovu kanye nabo bonke abathintene nayo, umndeni wale club ekade ikhuluma la abathi ugatsheni bewusihlalo wayo, nomndeni wakwa South African Police Service la ayethe uma ejoyina lo mndeni ngo-1988 wathatha izifungo ngawo ukuthi useyilunga lalo mndeni wakwa South African Police nakho konke okuhamba nawo. Sebechazile phambilini ukuthi silapha nje isandla nje somuntu ongelutho ngaphandle kokuthi umbulali. Bona ma ungelutho ingekho enye into eyaziwayo ngawe nekhulunywayo ngawe, kuthiwe nje umbulali kuphela nje. Okuthe uma ethathwa yilolu fufunyane ngeke ngalwazi ukuthi ifufunyane loni olumenza ukuthi afise ukwenza lezi zenzo ezibuhlungu kangaka nenobusathane obukhulu kangaka, angikwazi ukuyichaza. Zase zimthatha zimletha kugatsheni ngendlela okwenzeke ngayo. That was an evil hand. It was a satanic hand. It really was a hand of somebody who should not have been around us in the first place. Kwaba yiphutha nje ukuthi emhlabeni kube khona umuntu onjengaloyo. Uma bengikhulumela nje njengendoda yasemachunweni bengothi uma sebengcwaba abangcwabayo, uma sonke singcwatshwa ku-6 feet adlule yena ube u-12 ukuze angaphindi ngempela avuke nangakulokhu enikushoyo yona nabafundisi ukuthi kuyavukwa, angavuki asale khona ngempela ngeke aphinde abe khona umuntu njengaye. Siyakhala ngalensizwa njengoba nizwa. Manje ke kukhona ingoma engeke ngiyithande kakhulu uma usesimene sinjengalesi. Loyana, 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 Loyana,
All right, so this is all happening there in Durban. That is Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. And of course, we continue to monitor as the week ahead is up next.
Ahambe kahle ugatsheni. Basho abomndeni wakhe abakhona nabangasekho ukuthi sikhala kakhulu ngokwenzekile kuyena. La ugatsheni uhamba ngesikhathi esinzima kakhulu. Angisho ukuthi khona isikhathi esike sabalula noma sesike sibe lula emaphoyiseni. Kodwa ngiyakuphawula nje ukuthi uhamba esikhathini esibi kakhulu. Ukuqala nje lapha emaphoyiseni kukhona esisigameko esifanayo noma isicishe esifana esenzekile. Kodwa ngakafiki kulesigameko. Ngiyathanda ukuthatha ithutshana ngicele Ndonga mkhuzi wamaphoyisa lapha kwaZulu Natal labo bonke obamisene nabo kumkhuzi wamaphoyisa uzolonke uGeneral Masimula nabamisene nabo ake nenze umtheshwano manje okuthiwa irule ukuthi uma kukhona isehlo noma isigameko la okuthiwa khona crime scene noma ngabe irobbery noma ngabe isenzo isicishe sifana nalesiya amaphoyisa awalandele umgomo othize othi ikakhulukazi umuntu angahambi yedwa futhi angahambi ngezandla athi nje uma sengiqhamukile kuzonyamalala konke okukhona ngoba sekuqhamuke iphoyisa. Sizesikhathini esihlukile manje la khona abantu esibathatha ukuthi abantu bengebona abantu bengezona nezigilamkhuba nezinsola boya bezi izinto esingazi ukuthi singayibiza ngani. Manje ke uma kuthiwa kukhona la udingakala amaphoyisa ngokuphuthumayo asambe sibe khona nenamba esingaba khona ngayo ngokwe procedure noma ngokwe rule. Uma ngabe kuzobambezela lokho kumane kube kuyabambezela kwaleso sikhashana kodwa kuze kube ukuthi singaphezulu kwephoyisa elilodwa noma amabili ngaleyo namba kungavunyelwana ngayo ayeke lapha amaphoyisa aya nje aye elindele noma yini engase yenzeke ngokuyifungo nangokwesimo esikhona ukuze uma kukhona okuthize okuhlosekile okubheka ngasemaphoyiseni akwazi nokho ukuyivikela. Ngoba manje uma kwenzeke isigameko esinjengalesi awuhlali ungacabangi okuseceleni kokuthi uma sekudlula inhliziyo yakwazi ukuyibamba uthi ukube kuyekuthiwe inhliziyo usuku usuthatha ubeka. Yilokho kwenzeka kimi ma ngithola umbiko njengalo ngathi uGatsheni uCaptain Phatla ukuba manje kungcono lokhu ukuba sivele siwenze rule kumane kuphunyukeke makuukuthi kuyaphunyuka kodwa irule ikhona ethi ungayi wedwa ku crime scene, ufanele uye nabanye futhi ulindele noma yini engaseyenzeka. Uma ke ngixhuma lenkulumo yami ebheke ngapha ngaseMpangeni esikhaweni kube khona icrime scene efanayo, kwakhona abantu abahlasele umuzi thizeni abangaziwa, kanti umakhelwane wakhona yiphoyisa. Manje ke unkosikazi waleli phoyisa useyalibiza ukuthi naba abantu behlaselwa kwamakhelwane ozolekelela. Useyaphuthuma ke baphuthuma bobabili ngoba umakhelwane wakhe lo mayeqhamuka nje izigebengu lezi seziyadubula njalo. Umama walimala ukuthi ukhoma njengamanje. Iphoyisa leli elalizolekelela kanye nonkosikazi walo nalo noma lalisiphethe isibhamisalo futhi lasebenzisa kodwa lashiya lashona. Kodwa omunye walabo bathathu kuthiwa naye washona. Manje ke ikhona lento eyenzakalayo lensola boya lapha eCliffdale ayigcini ngokubulala uGatsheni, ithatha isibhamu sakhe eseshonile uyasithatha. Okusho ukuthi lapho nje ngesizulu wayesechwenza nje, wayesedelela, wayephethe nje indelelo yenkululeko yokuthi uphethe isibhamu usebulela, usethatha isibhamu sephoyisa. Okokuqala usenza into esithe kubantu baseNingizimu Afrika abayiyeke ukuyenza. Nani nje lapha etendeni nabalaleleyo, iphoyisa noma ke amaphoyisa, umbutho wamaphoyisa iSouth African Police Service, umbutho kahulumeni egameni lenu njengazakhamuzi zalapha eNingizimu Afrika. Wona wodwa umbutho onikezwe umsebenzi ukuthi usuku ngosuku, i-hour nge-hour, minute ngeminute kumele babhekele ukuphepha komphakathi. Ingakho umphakathi uma kukhona okuvelelayo, ngisho izigebengu uqobo zisuke icabanga amaphoyisa ukuthi apha amaphoyisa angakupha amaphoyisa, ngoba siyazi sonke ukuthi umbutho lo onikezwe amandla umthetho sisekelo waseNingizimu Afrika, wanikezwe igunya lokusivikela sonke eNingizimu Afrika. Uvikela uzuvikele ngisho izigebengu, uvikela wonke umuntu. Manje musa ke wena phakathi kwezimo ezikhona noma ngabe iziphi, ulinge ulwe noma uhlasele ngasaphathi ukubulala iphoyisa, ngoba mawenze njalo uhlasela iNingizimu Africa yonke, it's an attack to the state. It's an attack to the state. Yingakho ugatsheni embeswe iflag laseNingizimu Africa. Ngoba ngokomsebenzi wakhe wayethatha isifungo sokuthi uyovikela lo mbuso. Okungewona umbuso kaPresident Ramaphosa. Okungewona umbuso kahulumeni. Umbuso wabantu baseNingizimu Africa. Uma ke kwenzeke kanje vele bekusibiza ukuthi embuthweni wamaphoyisa simfune lo muntu. Njengoba ugatsheni omncane ethi bathukuthela. Ungcono wena gatsheni ngoba uthukuthela. Ngendlela okwenzeke ngayo futhi kuyakuvumela. Na umsebenzi kithi ukuthi kufanele senze ukufanele uma kukhona inkinga njengala. Indaba oyixoxayo iyafana nale yomlimi othi uma konakele endlini noma eplazini ugange isikhukhukazi kanye nengulube afika athi senenze nje abesethi ke uzobanikeza ipunishment. Abesethi isikhukhukazini wena uyokunika iqanda njalo ekseni ku breakfast yami. Abesethi ngulubeni wena njalo nge breakfast yami ngoba khona inyama lengulube edliwe ekseni. Mase isele zodwa ilwane ziyaxoxa zodwa zithi uthene isithi ngulube ungcono wena ngoba you are committed ekuthene ukhiphe iqanda kulomuntu okusho ukuthi uzaqhubeka uphile. Iqanda uyalikhipha nje uqhubeka uphile. Mawumlalele kahle lo muntu uthi ufuna ibacon. Manje ibacon yime. Lento le ayishoyo lo muntu yakukhomitha wena mina ngi-involved. Manje thina ke makwenzeke kanje siba involved njengamaphoyisa. Ubevele ezofuneka lo muntu umndeni okaNdlovu. Kuzo zonke izimo ngazo zonke izimo. Njengoba bese nezibhame ezimbili nje besingeze ukubala lokho ukuthi usenezibhame ezimbili. Besizomfuna vele. Ukuthi ke bekuzokwenzekane ke uma etholakala asazi. Manje ke mkhuzo wamaphoyisa ubakhuzi bamaphoyisa bathi lo muntu indaba nje engiyithole kodwa ke ninawa nabantu bamadocket kulungile. Kodwa ngizwile kancane kuthiwa esakhe isibhamu lesabulele ngasugatsheni besingeke emthethweni noma kusolakala kanjalo. Yathi besingeke emthethweni. Manje lokho kwenza ukuthi futhi ucishe uvumelane naleya ndoda ekade ikhuluma la kwagatsheni ukuthi sadaba usekhona lo muntu. Isibhamu esingeke emthethweni. Bulala iphoyisa. Thatha isibhamu semthethweni. Abulele ngaso ke amaphoyisa amabili. Captain Phatha ka warrant officer kumethe. Bese emsebenzini wabo official. Bese kuba ama members kale family yakwaMajola abe ikhethela nje kuzo. Bulala ingane, bulala umama. Umphakathi nje wonke eNingizimu Afrika nalapha eMasdale. La eMasdale kwakwaba khona izehlo nje eziningi kodwa ngiyacabanga ukuthi bese nayikhohle izehlo zokubulawa kwabantu. Ngalendlela esizwa ngayo akusona isikhathi leso bekufanele nikhunjuzwe ngaso ukuthi kusekhona abantu abanokomela ukubulala abantu ngalendlela. Beningabantu nje bokuthi nibize inkonzo ngicela uThixo ukuthi anigcinele ukuthula njengoba senake nabona likhulu ezikhathini ezidlule. Kodwa ke asehliseni umoya sivume lengozi esiqhemeke ngayo ngalento eyenzekile. Kunezenzo ezinye eziningana esibhekene nazo nje ubungizwa ngithi sinenselelo eziningi esibhekene nazo. Enye yalezi inselelo ukubulawa kwabantu besifazane. Siqale sathola ulaba eSouth Coast kunomfanyana ovele nje wabulala umuntu akade ethi intombi yakhe.
All right, Police Minister there, Senzo Mkhunu, attending the funeral of a police officer who was killed in Hammersdale, west of Durban. Two officers, of course, responding to a murder scene when they were attacked. And those details by Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu describing those scenes as satanic act. And, of course, saying that it was his duty to protect the government. This is not, of course, Ramaphosa's government. This is not Parliament's government. This is the government of the people. And, of course, it takes you back in September this year when acting President Paul Mashatile at that time led the annual commemoration of 39 South African police officers at the Union buildings in Pretoria. Of course, he was flanked by Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu, whom you just listened to there, and the National Police Commissioner Fanima Semola, who also, we also saw families of the fallen officers who died in the line of duty there. Among those 3 female and 36 female officers losing their lives between April last year and the end of March this year. 29 of them were shot and killed. 5 died in vehicle accidents, 2 hit by blunt objects, among others. So this is just one of the worrying stories that continue to unravel before our eyes. But as you heard Police Minister there, Senzo Mkhunu, saying that police will do what they can to arrest the situation of police officers being killed in the line of duty. The Week in Review continues after this short break. Do stay with us. You're watching the Week in Review, and we go to this story now. The Airports Company of South Africa and the Border Management Authority have offered assurances on the state of readiness for the festive travel season after operational challenges led to delays last weekend. Passengers experienced delays at passport control processing points due to a system failure at the OR Tambo International Airport. This incident was preceded by flight delays and cancellations due to issues with the fuel bypass line earlier this month. During a joint media briefing on Thursday, AXA and the BMA outlined how they aim to deliver a smooth travel experience over the coming weeks. Here's what they had to say, as well as people traveling through the OR Tambo International Airport.
Our projections indicate that we will have 119,696 international passengers, and that means both departure and arrival. And we're going to have 262, 108 domestic passengers that are expected between today and the 24th of December. After consultation with BMA and ourselves to make travel easier and more pleasurable for travelers in this coming peak starting from tomorrow, this measure that we've used in COVID would actually ask for travelers to extend the time they spend at the airport. We are therefore moving away from the traditional 2 hours before international travel, and we are requesting passengers to arrive in this instance for this peak season 3 hours before. Just that additional hour is able to help us ease both the big numbers that are coming through, but also ensuring that we're able to support BMA in the implementation of their particular system.
OR Tambo is busy, as you can see, and it's long queues, but we are patient and we are looking forward to our visit. I think that's what makes it exciting for us.
As far as I know, my flight is on time. I saw the briefing by the BMA and the chief executive of AXA. There are various issues, as you've outlined. There are issues with the biometric system. There are staffing issues. There have been fuel issues before. I would really hope that the experience from now on is going to be seamless for passengers, because this is peak time. So the volumes can't tolerate any glitches in the system.
We had to deploy that particular system, but we had to then bring in a new system with the intention to enhance the security aspect in as far as our border management work is concerned, and that gave rise to us having to implement the biometric movement control system, which is effectively a system that enables us to take biometric of travelers for us to be able to ensure that the people who enters the Republic are indeed the people that they claim to be, and of course they are not necessarily to enter the country with fraudulent documentation, as it were. Now, this particular work of rolling out the BMCS, as we call it, is something that we have rolled out throughout all of the various ports out there. Now, it was just on the basis of this particular day that the CEO had referenced, where we had a bit of a technical glitch in terms of the biometric movement control system. Now, if you are to look at the 71 ports that we are referencing, we are basically indicating that out of the 71, 70 ports had been incident-free in as far as this aspect is concerned, and it was only one, which is OR Tambo, where we had this particular glitch, as it were. Now, when that actually came through, we had to make sure that we respond with speed, and we had been able to deploy all our key top ICT officials on the ground to make sure that the issue is effectively addressed, and we are then able to get back to normal as fast as possible, and that has effectively been done.
When you talk about technology and the mankind, now the system is always opening, security and everything, and now there is a communication, and now we are so excited to say that for AXA and Department of Transport, they are working, we are looking forward to enjoy. They must keep it up the great work.
I'm looking forward to spending time with my family members, because most of the time we don't have time. Everyone is at work, and December is the only time when we all come together and, you know, unite as a family and celebrate.
Meanwhile, one of the popular holiday destinations for South Africans in the SADC region is experiencing a political stalemate. The post-election tensions in Mozambique continue, while the processing of people and cargo is running smoothly at the Lubombo border gate in Mpumalanga. The Border Management Authority is not as busy compared to last year at this time. Earlier in the week, while meeting with a delegation from Mozambique, International Relations and Cooperation Minister Ronald Lamola said South Africa continues to assess the political situation in that country.
It will not be easy for people to just go in terms of tourism because the situation does remain tense. We will continuously assess the situation, and at the right time we will be able to issue the alert for our citizens in terms of tourism in Mozambique. But for now, the transport is moving in both countries, including the individuals or private vehicles of citizens and so forth. But we have to continue to assess the situation and monitor it and allow the process that has been agreed here to take its course.
You're watching the Weekend Review, and thanks for staying with us. The South African Police Service has been out in full force across the Cape Town Metro as part of its festive season operations. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu says recent statistics are encouraging as more efforts are made to clamp down on all forms of crime. More than 2,700 new recruits have been deployed across the country, with the Western Cape getting 940 more police officers.
Safer festive season's operations are taking place countrywide. It will include interventions such as roadblocks and search and seizure operations. The focus is to deter criminal activities and enforce compliance with the law.
Having launched the season in October, and we said to them we'll be out there guaranteeing them safety and all of that. That was not just by the way of mouth, word of mouth. We are now ensuring that we are on the ground. Now, while everybody speaks and say we want to be safe and so on and so on, South African police are the underwriter. They are here to demonstrate to the nation that we are underwriting every other commitment by the president, by government, by municipalities, by everybody, that communities are going to be safe and enjoy this season.
At a roadblock, a person that tried to run from officers was quickly apprehended with the use of technology, including drones. A number of activities are also taking place in areas where gang activities are rife.
We have deployed our anti-gang unit across the province, across the Cape Flats. They are continuing with hard work. There is a number of gangs that we have arrested during the past. I counted the figure to 68. So we will continue. It's unfortunate that as we round off gangs, as you open up space, they fight again to fill up those spaces. But we will continue this fight to make sure that we clean out the gangs in the Cape Flats. That will continue doing.
The city of Cape Town is working closely with police. Over 800 new Metro Police cadets will also be deployed across the city.
This festive season, we are working very closely with SABC. We work with the Provincial Operations Centre. There are jocks in various areas, so we are coordinating very closely with SABC, and we work closely with the Provincial Commission and his senior management.
The minister will visit the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape over the next few days. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.
To this tragic story now, gender-based violence continues to be a serious problem in South Africa. Just this week, 2 cases were reported where women died horrifically at the hands of their partners. Earlier in the week, South Africans woke up to a trending video of a man known as Busiso Lawrence Ndaga, who was confessing to have killed his partner, Nontebeko Cele. Police said he was later found hanging from a tree, and just over a day later, a 22-year-old woman and her 3-year-old daughter were stabbed to death, allegedly by the child's father, who also took his life in Umgababa, KwaZulu-Natal. These incidents underline the urgent need to address the societal attitudes and cultural norms that perpetuate violence against women and children. Today, we explore these systemic issues surrounding GBV and discuss potential solutions. And of course, joining me via Teams are 2 esteemed guests. But first, Nanda Suben, a prominent social activist, and Jabu Baloyi, who will later join us. He's from, he's spokesperson for the Commission of Gender Equality. Good afternoon to you, Nanda. Let's perhaps start here. I mean, these are tragic developments happening in this country just days after we had observed 16 days of activism against these particular acts we are talking about here. In light of the recent tragic events in KZN, how do you see these cases reflecting broader societal issues surrounding GBV in South Africa?
I think it's 30 years of democracy and we haven't solved the problem. It's actually getting worse. And I think there is a serious a problem with the way we think about people, the lack of empathy. I think a lot of men don't think women can think. That's the biggest problem. It's similar to how racists didn't think people of other colors couldn't think. You know, that's the main problem. There's a lack of empathy.
And you talk about the lack of empathy. What needs to be done? Of course, there are campaigns left, right, and center in this country. Are they really even helping? If not, as we seem to continue to experience these issues, what needs to be done?
I think there has to be education, but what happens is we try to educate kids, and then the opposite is shown on the media where there's violence, then if you look at the U.S. Election, a guy who was charged for rape is now the president, the situation has been normalized. We've had that situation in South Africa as well, but it's the people become more popular in spite of what they do.
And let's talk about how social media and traditional media reflect or challenge cultural attitudes towards GBV. What responsibility do they hold in shaping the public discourse?
The problem with social media, there is a lack of control. It's just, there's a lot of control. It depends what it's all about. You know, if it's politics, a certain political faction will control it based on what they think. But when it comes to abuse, GBV, there don't seem to be any control. And it's like some of the debate on television where there's a lack of respect for women when a so-called pundit who is male is speaking out against a certain issue, you will have a total disrespect for the woman.
Yeah, and what needs to be done then, Nanda, in terms of sort of teaching young boys, you know, when it comes to addressing whatever issues that they experience, what should parents also be playing here, the role that they should be playing in terms of just trying to teach them how to treat their sisters as they grow up?
Yeah, that's an important thing. We just carried out a project, Women Artists Against GBV, but I think it goes deeper than that. We got to teach through art you can do the education, but there's also education out of the boundaries of art as well. So you need to get kids to think, to be able to have an empathy, to know that a beggar on the road actually has a problem. He might be a beggar, but you might laugh at him, and you might refuse to give him a 2 rand or whatever, but you don't understand what that guy is thinking. He's thinking you need to buy bread. We need to think on that level. You know, the highest form of intelligence is empathy. We can all have that empathy, and I'm not saying that we're all stupid. We all have that intelligence, but we just don't use that capacity to be able to think what someone else is thinking. We don't think what a woman is thinking. If you look at a woman and think that could be my mother, that could be my sister, that might help. That's the kind of empathy we need to have.
Yeah, quite interesting. And as I mentioned earlier on, Nanda, we are also joined by Jabu Baloyi. He's the Commission for Gender Equality spokesperson. Jabu, welcome to the Weekend Review. Let's just talk to you. How do you, traditional cultural norms around masculinity and femininity influence the prevalence and perception of gender-based violence in our society, in your view? And I'm sure these are the issues that you have been following up as the Gender Equality Commission. If you could just unmute, Jabu.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us on board. Yes, we have, as a Commission for Gender Equality, been dealing with issues of such nature. And I've been following what my colleague has been saying. It is true. And also the cultural, traditional, not only traditional, religious aspect of things, it's a problem in our country. Hence, the Commission has signed memorandum of understanding with various authorities throughout the country. One of it is to ensure that, you know, the leaders, you might even have heard recently in Northwest, whereby the traditional leaders were dealing with gender-based violence cases, were in a wrong way. And we had to impress on them what they should do. One of the aspects that, you know, my colleague might have said is the issue of entitlement that is within us as men. The cultural and the socialization of a boy child, it is of a problem in our country. Look now, boys in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo have gone to the mountains. We do not know exactly what is it that they're being taught. We know the culture in the Eastern Cape of Chisafuta, where they say they test drive with girls, young girls and elderly women. So that is also another aspect. We have this migrant working system in South Africa, whereby some of us, I'm coming from Guyana, some of us will be going home. And when we go home, we find these young kids, we are entitled unto them, we'll buy them alcohol, and then when the money dries up, we say, you owe us, you owe me, we have been buying these things, we bring wonderful present to them. It's the culture of entitlement and the misogyny, like you have said, that needs to be dealt with decisively in our country, because it doesn't hurt anyone to walk away from a toxic relationship. It doesn't hurt when somebody says, it could have been love, but it's over now. And you part ways in an amicable way, in a decent way, than, take somebody's life because you find yourself in a situation where you thought maybe you are entitled to that. But it is very wrong. It's something that we must frown upon as people, as artists, as gender activists, and we must talk about these issues throughout. And I wrote somewhere on Facebook to say, even the premiers of the prophecies, even MECs and ministers, during this December time, they're supposed, on top of the accidents that are happening, they must talk against the issues of gender-based violence. We will win this thing as long as we are united in one voice.
And I'm just looking at the stats, Jabu. Human Sciences Research Council reporting that 1.5 million women reporting violence in the past 12 months. That's quite worrying. But then President Cyril Ramaphosa instituted the Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Commission to address these critical issues. Can you share some of those key findings and resolutions from the Commission's work?
One of the resolutions, remember we play an oversight role as a Commission, we're a watchdog. One of the things that the Commission have said it very nicely is to say, capacitate the National Council on Gender-Based Violence. One of the resolutions is to have a coordinated system that will help the country start, because remember now, the Commission brings its own statistics, SAP has its own statistics, which we don't, without that they're perfect enough. State SA, their own statistics, Department of Women, Women and Persons with Disability, their own statistics. What we are going to do going forward, my brother, we are going to have a system whereby these things are done, but yet the Department of Women says, who are supposed to be the custodian of the body, says we don't have enough money. We can only contribute 5 million to that. You see, issues of gender-based violence and femicide, they receive the little amount in the country. Whether the artist wants to do it, they won't get little to nothing funding. And those on the ground, NGOs that were supposed to be working with them, they get little funding. And you ask yourself, are we serious enough about what the president has said the second pandemic in order to arrest the scourge? HSRC, in that report, it says 7.8% are men who are being abused. 5 million in that report of women we have lost confidence in the justice system. So those are some of the issues that we need to look at it holistically. The hindrances therefore in order to achieve this. Yes, we met with the president as a commission, we met with various departments. You see, January, February, the kids are going to universities and they're going to be at the back at the receiving end of some senior students. You might have seen our report on universities. So those are some of the issues as a country, as people, we need to look at. Yes. All right,
Jabu, thanks so much indeed. But because of time, we'll leave it there. And Nanda, I appreciate your time as well. That was Nanda Suben, a prominent social activist, and Jabu Baloyi, spokesperson for the Commission for Gender Equality. We will be right back after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and of course we deserve that on the lighter note story. And of course joining us to keep up the festive mood is Thandisile Gula, popularly known as Black Tie, who is well on his way to leaving a lasting impression on the local music industry. The silky-voiced Black Tie is breaking new grounds with his skill set and songwriting, both commercial and community radio stations have played his songs. He has already performed at the Cape Town International Jazz Festival, among others. He joins us today here in studio. Seth, thanks so much for joining us. Talk to us. I mean, it's that time of the year where your schedule gets to be quite busy.
Yes.
Just talk to us. What can we expect from you here today?
Normally, I do my music.
Yeah.
You know, I let my music speak for me all the time, and I'm a jazz artist, but with a little bit of soul. So you know, it's hard to get musicians that can have that fusion together. So my music is basically an inspiration from my life, and I try by all means to explain to people how the upbringing of the music, even the love within the music. So what I'm going to give to people, it's just a pure, beautiful sound, pure, good, I don't know, fulfilling music. That's what I can say for now. But
when did you start in the music industry? And for those who are not familiar with you, how would you describe your music and what drew you to this genre?
It was gospel, because I believe that my art is a calling. You know, I started a church, and then from there as doing a cappella, and then from there I wanted to explore. I wanted to know more about the music. What can I do? So I tried by all means to teach myself how to play instruments, and then getting the experiences from Abantu Abafana with Abobonga Netuluana, teaching me how to play and try to boost me as an artist to know exactly what is needed as a musician. So as a musician, that I didn't go to school for singing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying that it was a gift, straight gift from God, and it inspired me to actually learn more about myself and then about the music that I'm trying to put out there to the people.
And you grew up in the Eastern Cape. How has that helped you shape, the kind of music you do and the kind of artist you are today?
Oh, okay. The life of the people that lives on the location, it's also an inspiration, because when you're from a location and then it's hard for you to actually see the role models that you want to be when you grow up. So for me, it was always about trying by all means to actually understand and trying to know more about myself in spite of what's happening in the locations and all of that. So I've learned to channel myself when it comes to such things like that, and try by all means to forget about the things that happen that side, and then the music itself, and then I try by all means to put myself out there just so that I can just explain myself more in my sound.
Yeah, you write the music all by yourself. How do you manage to do that? And just talk to me in terms of the career highlights that you've had.
Okay, Cape Town Jazz. It was there was a competition that was done. I think it's ESP Africa. So they were trying by all means to get one band which is all over the world. So I won that competition, and then they gave me a platform to share stage with Abo Hugh Maseke, Shaka Khan. So that was an experience that on another level for me. So now I see that with that experience, it made me to even try by all means to push even more, because I believe now that since I got that, it means that I'm going far. So with that, I write music because of now I know that there is hope that I can be someone that is well respected.
And
also.
talking about writing music, so what are you doing now, and what can people expect from you in the near future?
I'm doing a new album with Uvuyo Manyiki. There's a new album that we're gonna release very soon, but I'm not gonna say about the dates. So I'm doing that with him, and he worked with Abos Java, he worked with a lot of artists. So now I'm trying to not only to do jazz, I'm trying to fuse even soul. I'm trying to fuse even baqanga. I'm trying to do a lot of things. And I got lucky to, before even Tatu Lawrence Machiza, before he passed away, he blessed me with 3 songs with Amakwano Mambazo. So that is coming also on that album. So it's a diverse album. So yeah, basically that's what I'm just going to give you just a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So that's the new,
right.
yeah.
You're going to be performing after this short break.
Yes.
I forgot my dancing shoes at home. You'll forgive me, but you at home, do stay tuned. He will be giving us something from the floor. Do stay with us.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Week in Review. And of course, we are in the festive mood. And here is Black Tie performing Boyesa for us. Take it away.
Inhlisiyo yami bethela phezulu bone ubele emehlweni akho inhlisiyo yalangasela wena amahlobo bambajongela phansi bathi oluthando luyindlela engendawo zozibona sonsola okwenzileyo ngoba lwami uthando lufuna wena buyisa zinhliso yami dali inhliziyo yami darling uyisa wena lapha ko luvuyisa inhliziyo yami njengelanga emafini vele kulila amehlo ami oluluthando lwamabene luphilisa umoya wami ndinika uthando yami darling uyisa ungumola mi uyisa.
From Johannesburg, here are your headlines. President Cyril Ramaphosa has authorized the full implementation of the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act during a signing ceremony at the Union Buildings in Pretoria in September. Ramaphosa announced a 3-month delay in the implementation of 2 contested clauses.
Our relationship with the South African Football Federation is really solid.
The SABC and the South African Football Association held a highly productive meeting and discussed the successful performances for 2024 and outlined the plans to deliver on the activities for 2025. The Republican-controlled U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation that would avert a midnight government shutdown. After the vote, congressional leaders from both parties claimed victory. You're still watching Week in Review live from our studios here in Johannesburg. You can participate, share your comments or ask your own questions by giving us a call here in studio on 011-714-0680 or 81 or 82 It's an honor to have you with us. We start here. Death again stalks the traditional Xhosa male rite of passage, the initiation from a boy to a man. Up to date, 20 young men have died in this summer initiation season. But this tradition is not about heartache. It is a celebration, and the celebrations are huge when the boys return home as men. SABC News reporter Abongile Jangis is standing by to give us more about the festivity of Umgidi. Good afternoon rather to you, Abongile. Just talk to us. Can you briefly tell us more about Umgidi or Ugidi celebration rather? What really happens on this day?
Well, a very good afternoon to you too. Well, indeed, this weekend of the 21st, a lot of boys who have transitioned into manhood here in the Buffalo City, and even the entire Eastern Cape. This is the weekend that is quite busy, and imigidi are being held throughout the province. I understand just in the Buffalo City area alone, about 3,000 initiates underwent this process, and imigidi are celebratory for those who have made it out there after initiation school and transitioned into manhood. Well, a lot of festivities do happen during this time. You'd see traditional food being cooked. You'd see alcohol being served. You'd see traditional beer being served. At this moment where we're coming to you from East London in the area of Duncan Village, where the Ngalo family is also preparing to hold those celebrations of Imigidi today. They brought their son early this morning and are expected to start with their festivities late into this afternoon. We can even bring in the parent Utata Andile Ngalo. Sir, thanks a lot for your time. Your son has come back from the initiation school unharmed and safe. How does that make you feel when 20 other families are mourning the lives of their sons?
Okay, thank you very much. Myself and my family, of course my mother also, as old as she is, we are so happy, so much celebrating, so much happy that our son is back from his initiation school without any harm. Everything was super there until this today.
What kept you going as a family when you were hearing that the numbers of the initiates who have been dying at initiation schools? Weren't you concerned at all?
I was. It was so much hurting. And now that our son is also there, we had a fear. But all we were doing to our best is to visit them every time, every minute, so to make sure everything is going well. And of course, we have organized Amakangata and Ingcibi to be the best ever, to make it possible as it is today.
Take us through the preparations that led to this day, sir.
All right. You mean before maybe initiation? In our location, that is East London, we have people who have volunteered there themselves to be looking after this circumcision to us all. Now each one who have the son who he wishes to take to circumcision, they take good note of that. In that, more especially to ladies, want to emphasize this matter. Ladies who are single parent, we have to take children to circumcision, where they do not know the understanding of what is happening in the bushes. So those guys that were volunteered themselves, they work tirelessly to find Ingcibi and what is this? Amakangat. Best them, registered Makangatas and Ingcibi, so that to perform very well good in the bushes. So, and afterwards, after looking to the situation, but is it going well? Also, as a parent, you need to be there almost every time just to see that everything is going well.
In a nutshell, it needs a community effort, you are saying?
It really needs a community effort. Because we have also been told, because we had a meeting before, that even if you haven't taken your son to get some circumcision, if you are a man enough, you need to wake up one other day and just go there and visit there as a community member, just to see if something is going well.
Thanks a lot for your time, sir. Well, That was one of the proud fathers here in Duncan Village, Andy Lengalo, taking us through the plans that he ensured that they had put in place to ensure that his son comes back safe and unharmed, while as the family is preparing for the festivities. We shall bring you more as this day unfolds.
Abangile, thanks so much there, Abangile Junkies there, and giving us all details of the Umkidi celebrations as the boys are now men. Moving to this story now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has instructed Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwahube to fully implement the Basic Education Laws Amendment Act. A statement released from the presidency yesterday indicated that Ramaphosa has proceeded to sign a presidential proclamation to bring the Bella Act into operation immediately. For more reaction on the president authorizing the full implementation of the Bella Act, I'm joined via a video link by Professor Mbulungeni Madibe, who is Dean of the Faculty of Education at the Stellenbosch University. In fact, he joins us via the telephone line. Thanks so much. Good afternoon to you, Prof, and thank you indeed for joining us on the program. Firstly, your reaction to this decision to sort of, authorize the full implementation of the Act.
No, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a huge relief that we finally get this Act passed. So it's such a huge, I think it's long overdue. I think we should have moved long ago with regard to early childhood education and also with language policy. So the Act to me is a major step. It's a major step and it's really welcome. And I'm quite relieved that the sanity finally, arise, that the parties that are involved come up with this agreement here. So it's a huge relief here.
And as you say, huge relief. All GNU partners clearly agreeing that the bill should not go back to Parliament for amendment. But there are norms, standards and guidelines which are now at the center of the debate. What do you think the implications of the new law are, especially in terms of mother tongue learning?
Yeah, you see, to be honest, I work within, that's my specialty. I work with language policies, implementation of language policies in basic education, in higher education. I really could not understand, I could not really understand what is the problem. Because hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Prof.
Yes, yeah. So I really could not understand what was the hold up, because if you want to mother tongue based bilingual education, it is normal. The only thing that we are going to need to do in this country in different schools is to find now expertise. How do we implement that kind of a policy? Yeah. So those to me that should not be a problem. I think with people with expertise, people who knows how these things are done, it should be easy. It should be easy how we can implement that, as long as the government provides resources here. I don't think norms and standards, that should be a problem. You just need people with the expertise who knows how to implement mother tongue-based bilingual education, and that should be fine. We are doing that at universities, and definitely it can be done at basic education level, yeah.
Yeah, it's a law that is meant to strengthen governance rather in the country's education sector, Prof, as you mentioned. But interest groups and parties such as the DA initially expressed concern that it will centralize decision-making and undermine school governing bodies, among other issues. Were these fair assessments?
No. Look, I understand, power can be abused. I think the initial position of South African schools education, the 1986 one, which gave absolute power to school governing bodies to decide on the language policy of the school. So that, I think, to me was absolute power, which was really not properly used. So I think now we have got a framework. The school governing body, the principal, and the head of department can really engage with each other with the policies, and then the policy has to go through that all the processes here. So I think that should be. I think it was too much politics than language policy.
Yeah, I mean, now they are describing it as a win-win situation. What do you think the government has noticed as its intent on pushing the legislation through despite concerns from interest groups and trade unions?
Yeah, look, I think it's non-negotiable, man. You know these two things, Section 4 with regard to childhood education. Our children are lagging behind because they're starting school late. They don't have grade R. So I think all of us will agree that we really need to bring grade R on early. Access should be broadened to grade R. When it comes to language policy, we know that English is not working. We need to bring in other languages. Africans will be included there. Also, other indigenous African languages need to be brought in there. And that's why now we talk of mother tongue-based bilingual education. It's not just one language. So that system can be, how to implement that can differ from school to school. But we really need to find a way, resources that will be there. We need to find a way on how to implement it, So rather than having African school only, that I think really is no longer relevant.
And you do hold the view that the act is transformative at all?
It's very transformative. I think to me it's transformative in such a way that it allows that space of engagement. If you are developing a language policy, it has to go through a process, not just decided by one person. It needs to be, parents need to be involved, the principal of the school needs to be involved, the head of department and of the Department of Education needs to be involved, all these levels, and then finally the policy will be submitted to the department for final approval. So I think there is enough space for objection, there is enough space of engagement. By the time you've got a language policy that is there, it's a product. For me, it's very transformational, that it opens spaces. You see, the Africans only, if you go for mother tongue only, that closes spaces for transformation. But this one opens spaces. Each learner can now attend school nearest to where they live. They can attend school at the earliest age, which is necessary, instead of people traveling long distances looking for a school that can cater for their own needs. So I think we have enough expertise in this country to be able to implement a policy that accommodates any learner. We do have that expertise. If the minister needs that expertise, the universities are full of people who are really expertise in implementing mother tongue-based bilingual education.
Prof.
That we can assist,
Okay, Prof, thank you. Thank you for your insight. We appreciate it, and thanks so much for your time. That was Professor Mbulungeni Madiba, who is Dean of Faculty of Education at the Stellenbosch University. Weekend Review continues after this short break. Welcome back. Eskom finally released its financial results this week, reporting a 55 billion loss in the 2024 financial year. The electricity minister says despite this, load shedding remains suspended for 268 days, resulting in 16.06 billion year-on-year diesel savings. He adds that maintenance has increased as industry closes for summer break. Eskom is utilizing the December summer break to increase planned maintenance activities to further improve the reliability of its generation fleet, as many industries have shut down for this period, with maintenance at over the 8,000 megawatt mark. Before we analyze the results, let's first take a look at what the Energy Minister and Eskom Chair has to say on the release of the financial results.
There's an existential problem that is facing Eskom. So the Chair shared with us the period under review, the municipal debt, the balloon to 74 billion. If you were to stretch it to now, as I stand before you, it's sitting at about 95 billion. So we have seen a swing of a 20 billion increase on municipal debt. On average, is increasing by about 3 billion rand. What that does, if it doesn't receive the necessary attention, is to erode all the gains.
This is the year that ended March 2024. It's a year that is 9 months behind us. Nothing that is happening today in terms of our operational performance is reflected in here. What's important, and you will recall this, is that is a year that was characterized by intense and frequent load shedding. As the Minister said, again, plant availability at its lowest, hovering around 55%. 330 days of load shedding. We were not anywhere close to our aspirations in terms of emissions performance, our safety performance not anywhere close to what we desire to do as a business. And again, you can see the increase in energy losses that translates to losses associated with illegal connections and electricity theft through tokens.
Joining us now to break down the figures and what they mean is Adil Nchabeleng, who's energy expert. Adil, good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us here at the Week in Review. The minister says the financial year ending March 2024 was an inflection point for Eskom and illustrates the trajectory of the state utility in the coming years. Do you agree with his reading of the results, and if so, why?
Look, I think what the minister was trying to allude to is that what has come in is actually the factual reality of what Eskom has been experiencing over the past actually 3 years. Remember, these losses are accumulative over the previous years in terms of operation. These results that we are seeing are actually indicative of the fact that these are losses that were actually accumulated from the previous load shedding year, when Eskom was ailing between its recovery in terms of a utility. So this is really the results of it, overspending on the diesel, the element of the neglect with regards to really keeping up the plant and ensuring that performance of plant would have actually been effectively managed and maintained. And the other thing is, if you look at the figures themselves, they are extremely telling. One is, there's been an increase in terms of revenue, one from 259 billion in 2023 to 295 billion currently in the 2024 period. So there's been a 14% increase on revenue, but there's been a sales decline of 3%, whereby Eskom has been selling less terawatt hours in respect to its business, which means they've lost sales volume of about 3%. And that has declined. But whereas in the previous year, they were sitting at 188 terawatt hours in terms of sales. So when you look at the current issue, the biggest issue sits on the fact that Eskom has a primary energy cost of about 173 billion. Yeah. So if you were to do a comparison, one is you look at the current primary energy cost of 173 billion, you deduct that out of the 295 billion of the 2024 revenue, you're seeing that Eskom is actually operating at a primary cost level of 60% to its revenue. It's not a healthy business, whereby you're having a business burning so much churn of cash in order to literally be actually buying your coal, you're buying your diesel, you're buying your supplies, which are primary inputs into the business. And this is a very big concern in the sense that, one, it's a healthy business, but at the same time, it's got the highest level of coal cost. And it's something that actually at some point, the state must take it up and saying this cost of coal has to be mitigated and tackled, and cost of coal must be reduced.
Yeah, I just want us to break down the technicalities as you mentioned numbers there, Adil. I mean, the statement says Eskom recorded a net loss before tax of 25.5 billion rand, an improvement from the previous financial year's 34.6 billion rand. What role has the generation recovery plan played? And would the losses be greater had there been no investment in it?
Absolutely. Look, if there was a continuation of load shedding, definitely the losses would have been hammering right now. We would be looking at the double figure in terms of the current losses. If you could recall, the element of the previous losses after tax in 2023 was 26.1 billion. Right now, it's sitting at 25.1 billion. There's been a slight reduction, but at the same time, there has been an improvement in terms of maintenance. So the losses that are currently accrued is actually the budget that was actually deferred to in respect to maintaining the plants and operations and ensuring that there could be a refurbishment of some of the plants that were unoperational. So they spend money in the right areas. And that is why you're seeing such a significant loss. Whereas in the past, when they were posting some almost minimal losses, is because there was no money spent on maintenance as well as refurbishment and repairs.
Yeah. Just you know, interesting developments here. If you listen to the minister, I mean, he also said the separation of the National Transmission Company triggered a once-off accounting adjustment, leading to a loss after tax of 55 billion rand. Just in layman's terms, please just explain this to our audience. And one, the amount is once off, as he mentions.
There was a deferred tax, which is a deferred tax asset of about 36.6 billion, which was actually deferred over to the, when the NTS-CSA, which is the National Transmission Company of South Africa, was established. So that tax, particularly for removing the asset that belongs to Eskom Holdings at the time, when they then were removed, there was a tax losses of about 36.6 billion. And when you combine it with the current losses of 25.5 billion, we realize that there is an additional double taxation level. And that is why the losses have come to twice the value of it, which is 55 billion tax right now that we are looking at in terms of losses after tax within Eskom. So these are just technical terms, does not mean anything relating to whether Eskom is losing. Remember, tax has its dual implication. Tax is deductible and tax is rebatable. So they can rebate their tax losses, they could write off the tax losses at the same time. So what is encouraging is the fact that most of the tax losses have now been deferred over to the new operational entity, which is the NTSA, which is the National Transmission Company, which will then be hopefully be written off on the next, coming, annual financial statements. But the current interesting part of it is, one, if you want to look at the healthiness of the business, which most people don't ever focus on, you have to look at an EBITDA. On the EBITDA of Eskom, it's sitting at 14.67%, which is quite a healthy EBITDA. A healthy EBITDA of a business should be between 10 to 30%. In the energy sector, it is between 10 to 20%. So if it's sitting at 14.6%, it tells you very clearly that Eskom is actually operating fairly well with regards to its EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, as well as amortization. And it's sitting at 43.4 billion with regards to its earnings, which means its revenue that is actually have within its businesses that is operational. So there's been a 26% increase in its EBITDA, which shows you that it's a healthy business. There's not been losses from the previous year, which was sitting at 36.6 billion. So there's been a 10 billion increase in terms of its EBITDA. At the same time, it has increased its marginal, percentage performance. So the business is in a healthy state. It's growing and it's improving, and it shows that over a period of time, if continued monitoring of these issues is actually maintained, you will have a healthy business quite soon.
Yeah, I mean, another headache for the power utility is illegal connections. I mean, the utility saying it lost 23 billion rand due to electricity theft. Is this figure accurate? Or could it be greater, as this is an ongoing problem? And what that is often not reported or even detected only after the fact?
Yeah. Look, the losses in terms of 23 billion, I don't know how they even estimated it, but because Eskom sells to municipalities in the majority. When it does its own retail direct business, it's related to the fact that, yes, there's been a lot of infrastructure vandalism, there's been a lot of infrastructure theft, there's been a lot of energy theft as well. And Eskom has been very almost non-committal on ensuring that they could reduce these losses by ensuring that they roll out across the platform, where they roll out proper infrastructure for metering, paid, and ensuring that they could do their own collection correctly. Because some of these areas are municipalities that are not even paying tax, they are not even paying levies or rates or even electricity. They are getting this electricity for free. So how do you even account for it when most of the electricity that is lost due to theft or other ways is actually communities that are not even paying for electricity?
Quite interesting. I mean, looking at Eskom in the next financial year, Adil, I mean, the utility believes the curve is changing. Do you agree, especially in light of the more than 74 billion still owed by municipalities?
Look, the 75 billion has been the last 7 years discussion, because we've been bringing up this issue to say how come Eskom has been moving from 1 year to another with increases in terms of municipal debts, when these municipal debts are not supposed to be existing, because municipalities receive their electricity value as well as revenue upfront. They get actually to sell the electricity on prepaid mostly, and they recover that income. Why are they not paying it over to Eskom, which is a very lackadaisy arrangement between municipalities and Eskom? So Eskom in the main should have actually ensured that they have a special department that just deals with municipal collections. And where necessary, they actually go in and establish an agency of Eskom within a municipality whereby electricity revenue is safeguarded and is protected. And there is no allowance of electricity revenue to be cross-spent within the municipality for other costs and expenses. Remember, municipalities usually would reflect their profits by using the electricity revenue that they have collected but not have paid over to Eskom as part of their income as well as revenue over a period of a year. So if Eskom were to be proactive and say within each and every municipality we are going to sign an SLA agreement, service level agreement that says we are going to install our agency, our desk, and doing our collection. So whatever revenue comes in from electricity charges, prepaid, postpaid, we are going to collect it and ring-fence it. And in doing so, we will rebate what belongs to municipality. The balance of it will pay over to our RCA account.
All right. Adil, thanks so much for your time and your insights. We appreciate it. That was Adil Nchabeling, who is energy expert. Do stay with us. Week in Review continues after this. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. As we reflect on the past year, we are taking a closer look at the trends that captured our attention, sparked our curiosity and drove the conversations online. Google Search, the powerful tool that helps us find information and answers, has given us a unique window into what's on our collective mind. The Google Year in Search report reveals the most searched terms, topics and trends of the year, offering a fascinating glimpse into the collective consciousness of our society, from entertainment and sports to current affairs and social issues. Today, we will be diving in deeper into the trends that made rounds this past year and exploring what they reveal about us. So let's join the conversation and uncover the stories behind the searches. Joining me via Teams meeting is Sia Marikani, Google spokesperson. Sia, thanks so much for joining us. Talk to us, what tool helps us finding information and answers online? Talk to us about that. And what report provides insights into the most searched terms and topics of the year?
Thanks, Makhetla, for having me, and good afternoon to you and your viewers. The Google Year in Search is our annual sort of look into our trends analysis tool that sort of spills back into to us in terms of what South Africans have been searching throughout the year. And this year, the results show sort of a heightened interest in entertainment, in current affairs, in events, in sports, celebrities, as well as notable personalities that we've lost in throughout the year. So really just reveals exactly what South Africans have been inputting into the search tool and sending that back to us in terms of what's been the highlights in the top 10. And that's how we put this list together.
And what does Google Search really reveal about our collective consciousness?
Well, it reveals a lot of things, but in terms of categories, whether you're looking for top musicians, it reveals who the top musicians are. If you're looking for the top events in terms of what happened in South Africa this year, it reveals that as well. Top TV shows as well, also movies, also most search athletes, as well as the people that we've lost, that we loved as South Africans, that those moments when we heard that they finally passed away, and really sort of how we felt and about those people. And really just that's what the whole list really does.
Yeah, I'm glad you raised that point, because I just wonder what can really South Africans learn from analyzing Google Trends, and how do Google Trends help us identify emerging patterns and conversations online?
Well, I don't think they just sort of reflect, because remember we're doing this at the end of the year, what these events have already taken place. So I don't think it reveals anything, but it just reveals maybe what South Africans are interested in and what they're searching for on the internet, and what is it that captures their imagination. And so that it's just a basic sort of a reflection for the year, using sort of all those things that I've mentioned, and basically revealing that what the South Africans are interested in.
And just talk to us, why is the Google Year in Search report important for understanding, our collective interest and passions as a people?
Well, I don't know if it's important, but for us as Google really is, what's important for us is really a celebration for the year. We're coming towards the end of the year. It's been a tough year. It's had a lot of happenings. It's been a lot of sort of up and downs, moments of celebrations, as I said already, moments of sadness. And for us, having this list is just another way for something to reflect as they sit with their families and say, oh, this is what we've gone through, actually. And it's actually exciting listening to everybody discussing this list and seeing exactly what they think of this list and sort of reflecting on the people, for example, the Olympics, or what they did, South Africans, what Akane did in the Olympics, and seeing that excitement coming back as we close off the year.
Do these trends, in a way, reflect, the moods of the society, do you think?
Of course, I'm thinking that if most people are searching for a particular topic, it's something that's close to their heart, it's something that they want to sort of engage on, find out more information. And really, for us as Google, really our aim, as you know, and our mission is to organize the world's information, make it universally accessible and useful. And we're really proud of this list because it's exactly that. It's making sure that South Africans get access to the information that they need to make sense of their lives and the challenges that are happening in their lives. So we're really proud in terms of making sure that they've got a tool that's available for them to improve or use or utilize in their lives to sort of make sure that they overcome or they become better or they get more knowledge or they become more nuanced in the subject. And so for us, we think we're very proud that this list has come through and so many people are using our tool to sort of make the world a more better place to live in.
And what are some of the most significant trends that emerged this past year?
Well, it depends what you're asking. So if you're asking from a music perspective, the top searches in terms of music, number one was Malume Vector, that we lost earlier this year, but also he had a lot of hit songs that came through this year as well. And then we had Shebet SHT, and then number three, Chris Brown, who was recently here and took over by storm. This list, I must say, was put before he came, so maybe he could be actually at the top by now. And then Tyler, our most favorite Tyler, was number 4. P. Diddy was number 5. At number 6 was Jwalabami, The Challenge, that everyone was sort of captivated by across the world. And then Kabza Chant, which is a music song that was released by Kabza earlier this year. And then Donald, and then Imithandazwe was number 9, which is the song. And then Ntatestana was number 10 in the music searches. And that's Ntatestana, as you know, was a friend and a colleague of Malume Vector that they both lost their lives this year. So in terms of top searched losses for the year, so the people that we lost across the most search was Mpho Sebeng, our late actor. Number 2 was Liam Payne. Number 3 was Pravin Gordhan, who was our minister in the government. And then Connie Chwame was also an actor. Tito Mboweni was also a former finance minister, was at number 5. Zanele Mbogazi was in the music industry, was number 6. Marcus Yoste was a businessman, was at number 7. Aleta Bezenod. And then Tudumieni, and then number 10, Soli Muhulu was a well-known singer, especially in that gospel music scene. So those are the top 10 in that sector. And then if you are looking at the most searched athletes for the year, you'd know number 1 was Dricus du Plessis, who made us very proud by winning that match down. And then number 2, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, which was a recent boxing match that took place. Number 3 was Lamine Yamal, who's sort of a youngster playing for Barcelona, who's taken the football world by storm. And then number 4, our own Rowan Williams, who's been making a lot of headlines ever since he was put forward, and he's won sort of in the CAF awards recently. And then Akani Simbine was number 5, Nico Williams was number 6, and 7, Christian Horner from Red Bull Racing was number 7. We had Mahrez, who's a footballer, was at number 8. Our own Rulani Mokoena was at number 9. And then my most favorite one, Tatiana Smith, who brought home gold from the Olympics and made everybody excited, was at number 10. And so that's the most searched athletes for the year.
Yeah, and just finally, Sia, how can we use Google Trends to sort of gain insights into the world, around us?
Yeah, Google Trends is a tool. It's on the search sort of tab. You can go in there and use it sort of to see and be able to reflect whether you're in digital marketing and you do strategies for marketing. You're able to see what South Africans are interested in, or you are also even business. You are able to go through to the tool and be able to see what is it that is capturing South Africans at various moments of the year, and be able to come up with strategies to sort of engage with them and be able to converse with South Africans using that tool. So yeah, that's how you could use it.
Sia, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. That was Sia Madigani, who is Google spokesperson. Weekend Review continues after this short break. Do stay with us. Sports, Arts and Culture Minister Gayton McKenzie is to launch a forensic investigation into the governance and financial affairs of the South African Football Association, Safa. This follows recent events that rocked Safa, including the arrest of its president, Denny Dan, the non-payment of players leading to the minister bailing out the association with a 5 million rand advance to pay Banyana Banyana and Bafana Bafana players and staff members, as well as the shock resignation of the association's chief medical officer, Dr. Thulani Ngwenya. Joining us to provide insights, former Safa Vice President Riali Dwaba, former Safa National Executive Committee member Buti Lerefolo, who are joining us, of course, via a video link. Here in studio, we have SABC News senior journalist Sifiso Ramara. Please note that an invitation was sent to Safa to be part of this discussion, but they were not available. Before we delve into the discussion, let us listen to this clip.
I'm not going to sit as the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture and see our players that qualified, Banyana Banyana, Bafana Bafana, Coach Hugo Bros, the Hamman Mkelele, not being paid. I said, let me pay those people from the money that was earmarked for Safa anyway. But that gives me opportunity now to do a forensic investigation to say, I've first afforded them opportunity to say, tell me why you're in this position, tell me how you're going to get out of this position. What will then follow, after they give me the answers, I will then have a forensic investigation into the affairs of Safa. And it's not interfering, it is following our money that we've been giving them all along. We have a right to investigate what happened to our money. So that's the plan.
Well, let us get straight into it now with former Safa Vice President Riali Dwaba, former Safa National Executive Committee member Buti Lerefolo, who are joining us via video link. And as I mentioned, in studio we have SABC News senior journalist Sifiso Ramara. Gentlemen and lady, thanks so much indeed for joining us. Meli Dwaba, let's start with you. Were you surprised by the developments around Denny Jordan's arrests and his co-accused?
Good afternoon to your listeners. Thank you for the invite. No, I wasn't surprised at all.
Well, were you not surprised?
Yeah, because it has been, I mean, the case was opened in 2020. And I knew because there were evidence when that case was opened. So I knew that the Hawks will take some time to investigate, and when they have found that there's a case, that they will do what they have done now.
Would you say, Ms. Lidwaba, that there is probably more to come out of Safa's closet?
Yeah, I'm just happy that the Minister of Sports have indicated that we'll be instituting a forensic audit. And that's where the South Africans are going to be shocked about the things that has been happening around the association.
Mr. Lerefolo, let's come to you. What would you say is the cause of these problems at Safa?
It's simple. Since 2012, Safa undertook a process to make their association responsive to the market. And Safa interrupted that process, and it has never been taken on. In other words, continuously, Safa has tried but never achieved the point where the association is actually set up to do the work it is meant to do. Therefore, it is not surprising, and that disjuncture is in this way. An association like Safa controlling football in the entire country
has less than 50 staff members and about 50 board members. That is the anomaly. The resources have always been misdirected towards the wrong things, despite the many promises to both the country, to CAF and to FIFA, that will make the NEC smaller and will make the staff to be responsive to the issues. So Safa cannot deliver on any obligations it gets given by any of the people it gives money, including the minister. The 5 million is not going to be spent as anticipated because Safa is always stretched. That is the real problem. Those NEC members that have been running around the country would want to be paid for as they normally are, and they will forget that this money is meant to do certain things. Last night, we had your SABC sports director talking about agreement with Safa and what Safa must do. Safa is not going to deliver on those things. That's why Safa was not there to speak about what they will do in terms of the very sponsorship agreement that they have with SABC that must generate revenue and make sure the business happens. Safa is completely dysfunctional.
And let's then talk about that. I mean, you talk about Safa being completely dysfunctional. How would you rate their global reputation amid all these issues that are happening there?
The global reputation of Safa, it's still running on the coattails of the World Cup that happened in 2010. But what do we have to show for the World Cup? Do we have experts that are delivering similar services in America with the upcoming World Cup? Did we have experts in Saudi Arabia? Where are the experts delivering similar things for Safa in terms of provincial and local tournaments? So we are just based on reputation, and we are carrying on the coattails of 2010 World Cup and sometimes Nelson Mandela. I think that goodwill has run out of mileage.
Yeah, Sfiso, let's come to you, and thanks so much for joining us. I mean, looking at all these issues that are happening at Safa, I mean, this is the biggest body in terms of football in South Africa. Let's talk about the mood in camps, especially when it comes to Bafana Games. They finished top of their group ahead of AFCON next year. Let's talk about the mood in the camp. What have you observed?
Yeah, I think the organization Safa, it's in big turmoil, without any doubt. I mean, if you look at Bafana, having qualified for 2 back-to-back AFCON tournaments, it's history on its own under the same coach. And mind you, they qualified top of the group. They did not even lose a match. Those guys, they have to be compensated accordingly. You look at the agreement between the players and the mother body. For each win, for a player is 60,000 rand. For a draw is 30,000. If you calculate all the money there, 4 wins and 2 draws, that's a lot of money. About 300,000 to go to each player. And Safa must make sure that they pay the players. I'm glad that the minister stepped in to try and save the situation. I mean, the qualifiers are long and gone now. Players have to be compensated before end of this month. I'm glad that the minister took that bold step to make sure that both Bafana and Banyana players are compensated accordingly.
Friends are watching these developments and they are having their say. What are you reading in them in terms of their reaction when all this is happening, Sfiso?
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. I mean, given our track record, I was listening to Puti de Rafulo speaking about 2010 World Cup and whatever. In terms of the magnitude of South Africa as a country, and even as the football association of this country, Safa, I think we can do better.
Ms. Lidoba, let me come to you. I mean, what reforms do you think need to be taken and even executed to avoid all these things that are happening currently?
Total restructure of the South African Football Association. I heard you speaking about the 5 million rand that the minister has given to Safa. I don't know whether it was paid into an account or whether it was paid away. Is that account even credible? Is that account, doesn't it take the overdraft? But I wanted to say, the Minister Natin when he was the minister, he gave Safa 2 weeks to organize Lokotla because there was a lot of things that needs to be done. One of the things is the constitution. That constitution that has been changed. Every time there's a change, never be a constitution that would allow South Africans to be able to participate in an organization that is an organization for the people. So Safa, there is a restructuring, and I wish Safa, FIFA could come in and just bring nationalization, because when they do that, what it means is that they would appoint probably 5 to 7 people that will take care of making sure that Safa is now back on track, maybe for 6 months or a year, and then there will be proper elections, and then we'll see that the organization it's running like it should be. There is no money in Safa. The regions are running for the next. Now is 6 months that they haven't been paid. So how do then development of football happen in the regions if there is no money for the regions? Remember, the regions don't even have offices. So one should be asking ourselves for what happened to the 420 million rand that was left after the World Cup. What is it that we can show for that? So those are the things that needs to be looked at. Structure of also the NEC.
Yeah, sorry to cut in there, Ms. Lidoba. Of course, you're breaking up, but I think we got your point. Just in closing, Mr. Lerefolo, how can Safa then ensure transparency? And I think that's what Ms. Lidoba is raising here, transparency and accountability. In 30 seconds, please. If you could just unmute.
Safa as an organization is beyond redemption. It cannot show any transparency. It has to be done for Safa. The reason Safa is dysfunctional is that Dr. Jordan and his close lieutenants have systematically broken down accountability systems of Safa. And fortunately, the minister is wading in. He will find those things and he will have to address them for the sake of South African people.
Thanks so much. We appreciate your time. Indeed, Sifiso Ramara, senior sports journalist here at the SABC, appreciate your time. Former Safa Vice President Riali Doba there, as well as former Safa National Executive Committee member Buti Lerefolo, talking to us about all the issues affecting the South African Football Association. From myself, Mariketa Matabe, as well as the rest of the team here at the Weekend Review, do have a fantastic day. We appreciate you joining us.